So let's dive in. All I can say is the devil is busy. The devil is busy. I'm telling y'all, the devil is busy. But here's the deal. And if that's not your thing, let me put it this way. When you get closer and closer and closer to where you are supposed to be and what you are supposed to be doing, that's when things get harder. That's when craziness shows up. That's when you get challenged even more when that happens. And that's why it's important to be really aligned and really clear on what it is you are trying to do. What is your solution you're providing? What is the outcome you are going for? Because when you get really close and things get ugly and things get confusing, by being clear, right, by being aligned, it enables you to look at that stuff and determine what's noise and what is information that needs to inform a new action. Because it could be either one of those. But as they say, you know, when you get really close, that's when stuff gets really messy. It just does, right? That's just kind of life. Challenging you to say, did you really mean what you say you meant? Oh no, did you really mean it? We'll have to find out, right? So what happened, so several things happened. One, when you think about this whole idea of focus and the idea of getting clear and the idea of knowing what it is you want to deliver and how you want to show up, you know, focus is a big deal. And for those of us who are overthinkers, those of us who have messy minds, or those of us who just have a lot of stuff on the list, that focus is hard because multitasking is a fallacy. I mean, you can do multiple things at one time. Like I can read a book while I'm doing laundry. But there are some things that are mutually exclusive. But even if you're multitasking, are you really giving 100% to everything? No, you're not. It's just not possible. So you have to find a way to be able to get focused and to sit in some focus, especially when you're moving into your purpose and that thing that is aligned for you. So this year has started off and it's been really great. It's moving fast already, but it's been really great. And I, for one, have been really, just really confident and positive about the new ecosystem and where things are moving and what that's going to be and being able to deliver and provide for people, provide a solution and to make an impact. I've been really clear on that, more so than any other time. It's just felt right. It's just felt right. And so on Monday, yesterday, I was preparing to prepare, right? I was doing my preparation. I continued prep for a workshop I'm doing on Wednesday that I'm really excited about with the client and her team. Just thrilled and honored to be able to do it. And so I was doing continued prep for that because I prep for days, right? Even last minute, I'm always doing prep. Like I prep way before, and then I'm still doing kind of that mind, just getting your mind right, making sure that, you know, getting that support to say whatever words, let me find the words and find the tact that really speaks to people, right? So I'm always just in that zone of getting prepared so that I can deliver with excellence. And so I was doing that and getting some things done and knowing I had some things I needed to do for people. And on my business page, which some of you guys are watching on, I had a messenger for my business page. Now on my personal page, I don't respond to messengers, even in Instagram. I don't respond to messengers that of people I don't know. I just don't. Especially when they say stuff like hi or how are you, or you know they're spam. So I just don't respond. But on my business page, I'm like, you know, but you're not going to know everybody, Laurel. So at least acknowledge that you got the message, because there's also that lovely little algorithm. So now my intuition said, don't do it. It'll be okay. Don't do it. But I thought, no, Laurel, that's probably just you being contrary. Just do it. Well, I did, and all heck broke loose, right? All of a sudden, I got a message saying, thank you. Please confirm your order. What order? I didn't order, y'all. So for the rest of the day, this happened probably about 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning. The rest of the day, at least until about 3 o'clock, was spent dealing with that, making sure my accounts were okay, making sure everything else was okay, being really concerned that other small businesses were going to be impacted by somebody making an order that wasn't me and then not getting paid. I mean, that would show up as me, right? And people think that it's me, and it's not me. So FYI, it's not me. I don't order anything on Facebook Marketplace. So that is not me. But it took me way off my game. I mean, like way off my game. Now, mind you, I'd also spent Sunday night with Apple, of course, because it's been weeks dealing with them with the new iPhone 13 Pro. So, and I do go into it with a positive attitude. I always go in saying, you know what? I'm just going to believe it's going to be fine. I'm going to believe this is going to work. I'm going to believe that it's going to be okay. Well, yeah. And then my expectations, right? So I've learned to lower my expectations. I try not to be negative, but I try to manage my expectations. So it just completely took me off focus. And then as I got up this morning, so I didn't sleep well last night, just kind of, bags under my eyes, all this kind of stuff. And I got up this morning and I thought, stop. So one, in my meditation, what came up was gratitude and the power of gratitude, and really sitting and being thankful for everything. Just thankful for even just waking up that day, right? Thankful for all the quote unquote normal stuff. Waking up, having a place to live, having food to eat, having, sight, vision, smell, all those kind of things. Being very, very grateful for what you have and the power of sitting in that gratitude. And I was watching Joyce Meyer, and she talked about how can we get creative, right, with our gratitude? What are the other things that aren't just the normal gratitude stuff that we can get really creative about being grateful and just be thankful for that and sitting in that? Because if we're not grateful for what we have now, why would we be given something else? Good point. So I heard that. Then the next thing I heard in my journaling and meditation was, or that I read was peace. Be really peaceful. Just put your hand in mine and walk in peace, because I got you. I got you. I'm paraphrasing, right? I got you. So as I sat down, and because again, it was one of those things where, what am I going to talk about? How's it, what is this going to be? Is this going to be impactful? Is anybody going to care? And I thought, it all comes down to focus. And I think it's Tony Robbins that like, what gets your focus, where focus goes, energy flows, or something like that. And I'm not a big Tony Robbins follower, but when I looked up stuff, that's what he was, I guess that one's attributed to him, where your focus goes, energy flows. And I had to pause and think about that, because yesterday my focus was on also making sure that, my bank accounts weren't emptied and all this kind of stuff. My identity wasn't stolen. And, and I've got lots of things in place to manage that, which reminds me, there's one thing I need to check. Lots of things in place to manage that, but still, right? Your blood pressure goes up, you get worried, because people are just, there are some people in this world who are just evil. They are out to hurt people and get something that doesn't belong to them. But it took my entire focus for hours. And then the tail end of that focus was a challenge in attitude and emotional response and all of that kind of stuff, right? That death spiral that we can get into when one thing goes wrong that's pretty tough that we have to deal with, then everything starts to be a problem. And we just want to go to bed, right? We get in full dorsal, just go to bed and don't even think about it. But here's the thing. If you reframe focus, and I talk about this in the podcast this week too, if you reframe focus, it's not necessarily about this myopic laser, nothing else matters, you're not seeing anything else, right? When I think about laser focus, I sometimes think about if you're training a dog, right? Or you think about animals and you watch them and how they can be laser focused on their trainer, right? They are watching every single thing. They're laser focused. I'm not talking about laser focus. I am talking about the focus that's kind of like with a camera, where the subject that you're trying to take is focused, but the whole background is blurred, right? So you can still see that there's a background, you can see the stuff, but the focus of the picture is the person that's in the center, or the thing that's in the center. It's that kind of focus. Why? Because part of really being clear in your vision and moving into empowered action and getting to the goal that you have set for yourself is being able to continuously take in information. Continuously. It's why my behavioral mantra is stay curious, right? Stay curious. I'm going to be disciplined this year. I'm going to be consistent. I'm still working on it. Just like surrender last year was a pain in the butt. And I didn't quite get there until the very end of the year. But discipline and consistency, those are the ones for this year, surrounded by this behavioral mantra of staying curious. And so when I put that on top of focus, and what I mean by focus, I think, you know what? That's the point. It's that different kind of view, because you need to be able to consistently take in additional information that may impact the actions you take, right? It's kind of like that intuition. You need to be able to have enough of your peripheral vision that says, oh, I see something coming, or wait, let me check that card, or whatever. You don't want to be so laser focused that you lose any kind of connection to anything around you. Because the stuff that's coming at you from around you, yes, it could be dangerous, but it also could be information that you need that can support the goal you're trying to achieve. It's after acquired or during acquired information. So you can be focused on where you're going, but have enough of that blurred background vision that enables you to shift, right? To take a detour when necessary, and it won't derail your ultimate goal of trying to get to where you're supposed to be. That's what empowered action is all about. Empowered action is about being able to take in lots of information and being able to move forward accordingly. Now, let's talk about that information you take in when we're talking about focus. There is a podcast episode, it's an older episode that I re-listened to just because I love Malcolm Gladwell. I re-listened to it, and it was about U.S. News and World Report. And there's a lot of learning in that. And I'm hoping I'll remember the other thing I want to talk about with the learning and podcasts that I think is important in this focus thing. I was listening to this one, and it's about U.S. News and World Report and the college lists, right? The best college to work or to go to, the best value, all those kind of lists that are out now. Well, those lists started with U.S. News and World Report. So it was like the number 3 magazine, I think, behind Time and Newsweek. It was the number 3, and they needed to do something to keep the magazine viable. So they came up with this list of rankings. And that in and of itself is fine, right? Everybody's got a list. All guys chilling got a list right now. But what was interesting and what I love about Malcolm Gladwell is he dug into, but what does it really mean? How do you put it together? What is the algorithm? He had some people kind of hack the algorithm, right? What does the algorithm mean? And how valid is this? Or is it just opinion and a speculation? So when he got to the person who was one of the people who actually designed the algorithm, and he started asking questions, and there were a couple of things that came out of that. Number one, very evasive responses, but also a reminder of, even when you're going to places and you're looking at lists and looking at information, you've got to be discerning. You've really got to be discerning. So it turns out that if you take all of the pieces that go into the list, one of those is how other people feel about the school. So it's into like presidents, provosts, deans, high up in the university, executives. And one of the scores is the perception of the school, right? Where would you rank the school? I think I was on a scale of 1 to 5. And here's the thing. Think about all the universities. How many of those people have actually been to or seen or even heard of the universities they're supposed to be ranking? How many? And what kind of not only unconscious bias, but actual bias can enter into that rating or that ranking of that school that they know nothing about? Maybe they've walked through the campus. Maybe they know somebody whose kid went there. Or maybe they had a professor at one point during their career who went there that they really didn't like, and so they can't be a good school. And let's not even talk about the institutional bias that can happen when you're trying to rank HBCUs, because that's the next podcast episode. It talks about Dillard University, which always winds up at the end or the bottom of the ranking. And so as we're talking about this and thinking about this whole idea of focus and after acquired information, and making sure you're open to gather information, and even when we talk about voting and where you're going and how you're figuring out what the information is, ask questions, stay curious. So he asked this person, because it turns out that rank, I think it was 1 click in that particular rank has a 6-point impact in your ranking, right? Your overall ranking. So 1 to 6, just based on this perception of the value of this school, the value of the education of this school. And so as he started asking questions of this person, you'll have to listen to the podcast, it's just fascinating. He said, well, what about bias? Well, we just believe that people are going to do the right thing, essentially. We understand that there is not necessarily direct experience, but these people are presidents and provosts and deans, and they understand, how, really. So, in other words, that it doesn't make any sense at all. There's no science behind it, right? No science behind it, behind the rankings and behind the way they've done it. And they have modified it over time. They have done some things to update the algorithms and things over time. But this guy who was one of the designers was just kind of like very evasive around the answers that said, how do you know? How do you know that people aren't just intentionally at the worst end, nefarious end, intentionally downplaying these universities? How do you know that the unconscious and conscious bias isn't significantly impacting, right? Because ultimately those rankings also can impact endowments, right? It can impact all of that. It talked even about bond markets, right? And part of the rating of a bond market, and I'm by no means an expert on bond markets, right? So I learned a lot in this episode, just in just verbiage and the wording around it and some of the things related to bond markets. But it talked about how, the harder it is to place a bond, to get somebody to buy it, right? That's not a good thing. That's not a good thing. So if you look at these historically underrepresented universities, HBCUs, their bonds aren't nearly as valuable because they're harder to place because people don't want to buy and hold them. Why? They're not ranked on the tops of the lists, if they're even on the list. They don't have as big an endowment. Their student population is underserved. They may be economically disadvantaged. There may be a higher percentage that's on Pell Grants or something. And so because of this ranking, this listing that doesn't necessarily have research rigor behind its development, there are implications around the impact of those. And so when you're looking at focus and trying to stay focused on where you're trying to go and what you want to do and how you want things to turn out, you've got to be really mindful of the information that is coming into you, the information upon which you are basing your action, your empowered action. That's why that laser focus, it can be detrimental. Now, maybe on small tasks, things that really need to get done with high precision, you've got to be laser focused right on that. But other things, when you're just talking about movement and moving forward, where there is opportunity to kind of modify, right? Or to take a path that may not be straight, it's important to have the ability to get in additional information, to have that blurred background that you can tap into and move your focus around. I always remember this spotlight, right? Like when you see the spotlight that moves around, a blurred thing, and everywhere the spotlight goes, that part is clear. It's important for you to have a spotlight that can shine on the dark recesses of your blurred background. Y'all like that metaphor? That was good, right? You want something that can help you go to the places that have been darker that you put in the back of your brain. They're like, oh, wait, let me pull that forward because that's actually helpful now. That is actually information that can help me get where I want to be, to deliver the solution I want to deliver, to be in service, to make an impact, right? It all still ties together. But focus, if you look at focus in a little bit different way, it enables you to think about focus from the standpoint of moving you forward, as opposed to just completing the one task at hand, because it's bigger than the one task. Your ultimate outcome, your ultimate goal, your ultimate vision is bigger than the one task at hand. The one task at hand is just a part or a stop along the way, right? It's not the end. It's not the end. Every day gives you an opportunity to move closer and closer to your goal. It's not the end. And so it's important to think about focus in a little bit different way. Bigger, broader, wider. It's important to think about focus that way because there are different pieces that give you different information that move you in a different space, right? So the other piece of this focus that also came out of this conversation, or this podcast that I was listening to, um, was an idea around these goals that we set for ourselves, right? And what we want to do. Not only what we want to do for other people, but putting our mask on first. Remember last week we talked about you do you. You got to do you. You got to feed you in order to feed everybody else, because you can't serve from an empty cup. And I love to read. I love to read. I love to learn. But reading, picking up a book and reading, it can be mutually exclusive activity, right? If I'm sitting there with a hard copy book, and I love books, that's why I love libraries. If I'm sitting there with a hard copy book, I can't really do anything else, right? I can drink or eat, but I can't work on the spreadsheet, or I can't work on strategy, or I can't work on directly on those other things while I'm reading. And I've got some goals this year around some books I want to read and some things I want to do in order to continue to develop myself so that I can continue to serve all of you. And there's a lot of pressure around that. And then finally it hit me. If I broaden my focus to really look at that background and spotlight some other things, it's not the book itself or the act of reading the book itself that is the thing. It's the information contained and the ability to gain that information, which can be done in a multitude of manners. And I love a podcast, and I love an Audible book. So if my focus is on gathering information and not reading a book or multiple books, then my ability to still gather that information is greater because I've given myself many more avenues to do so. It's not just about the hard copy book, and I will probably go still buy the hard copy book, right? But it also helps in that I'm listening to the Audible, right? I'm listening to the book and I'm like, oh, I love it. So now I'm going to go buy the hard copy because I've got to have this in my library, right? It's just a different bit of tact. It's a different method of going about the same thing. It's a different focus. So the end goal of getting the information and adding to my toolbox, broadening my horizons, broadening my perspective, that's the end goal. There are a multitude of ways to do that. And instead of having the conversation with myself that says, oh man, it's already January, you haven't read one book. You haven't finished one book, Laurel, haven't even picked it up. And giving myself the opportunity to say, you know what, but there's the other focus in January. So you're going to get all this stuff done by January 31, which frees up your calendar to do the other stuff. And instead of getting down on myself about having not picked up a book, it is, no, you know what? I'm still going to pick up some books. Number one, that's starting in February. But two, my quote unquote picking up a book may be listening to a podcast about the author of the book, or an interview with the author of the book about the book, or some subject covered in the book. It could be that it is getting the Audible and listening to the book as I'm doing other things. So it's not mutually exclusive, but gives me the opportunity when I hear something like, oh, I need to write that down. I can still write it down. Or better yet, give myself a voice note, right? That ability to broaden our focus helps us sit in possibilities. It helps us sit in possibilities. And if you think about what I posted on Monday that talked about really getting clear on your solution, right? And then finding the thing that is winnable and reasonable and doable, that's what that is. Sarah Schulman said that. Reasonable, winnable, and doable. Now she was talking about activism and campaigns. But even if you're trying to move your department forward and complete a project, what is winnable, reasonable, and doable? How can you do your focus that way so that there are many, many options in the way to get it done that enables you to have that blurred background that lets all of your people who may have different perspectives bring those forward? You can shine a spotlight somewhere else as opposed to just on your own vision and on your own way of doing things. Your spotlight becomes not the size of a pinhead, right? But the size of a flashlight. Gives you lots of opportunity to see other things because your focus is broader. That is a key to being able to move forward and to not let yourself get into the death spiral of why didn't I can't believe I lost focus, which is where I was, right? I can't believe I lost focus again. Here we are again. I've lost another day. You can't get time back. Time is not renewable. My friend Liv said that at Live Wickedly. Liv said that time is not renewable. And she was right. She's like, do we really need a meeting? Do we really need an email? Do we really need a Zoom? Can we just do this with some quick Marco Polos? That's also showing my age, right? And she was right. Death by meeting. Does everything have to be a meeting? Does everything have to be a Zoom? Can we just send a quick email? Can we send a quick text? Can we send a quick polo video, right? To take care of whatever the thing is. What can we do a little bit different that enables us to take advantage of what time we have, because tomorrow's not promised. And so we want to make the best use of the time that we are given to deliver the solutions and the impact that we want to deliver. And that requires that we can be open to additional information, additional perspectives, additional opportunities, additional and reasonable solutions that are not necessarily yours, but may inform yours. That's what it means. That's what it means to really be able to think through something else, to be able to think through something else. So I want to pause real quick and say thank you, because as we said, we're going to do. I want to say thank you to all of you guys who are tuning in, and to know that my focus keeps getting broader. The more you guys turn in, I love it, because there's some that come through in a city. I'm like, I don't know where that city is. And it gives me a chance to learn something else about somewhere else. So thank you for tuning in around the world. Thank you for tuning in around the States, around Houston, around Texas. Thank you for being here and for tuning in and for spending your time with me. I really appreciate it. All right. The other thing that really came up around this whole idea of clarity and gratitude being the foundation of everything is when you're sitting and thinking about what you're thankful for, and start with that piece, that also gives you an opportunity to potentially find some additional solutions. So if you start like gratitude lists, just start that day thinking about all the things you are thankful for. It's amazing what will come up. That might be something that is a big aha for you around what could be, around possibilities, around new opportunities that can happen. It is a new opportunity to think through how things can work and how they can work differently. Because sitting in that mind space opens up your thinking. It opens up your attitude, right? It opens up and gives you more of a global perspective on what could be. And in those moments, right, those moments of peace, those moments of gratitude, those moments of silence is where solutions happen, right? I think one of the things I posted one time is get still so you can hear. It's really in that silence and that quiet, in those moments where we give ourselves a chance to think, that we have those ahas, that we have those moments where we're able to say, oh man, that's it. That's it. Why did it take me so long to figure that out? Right. That's usually where I go. I can't believe it took me this long to find that out. Well, because I wasn't still and because I wasn't ready. And maybe you haven't figured it out because you haven't been still and you weren't ready. Because when you are ready, the message will appear. When you are ready, you will hear the message you need to hear. When you are ready, you will be able to respond in a way that enables you to serve bigger and broader and brighter and better. You will be able to be clear with your folks. You'll be able to finish that project in time with excellence. You'll be able to do all of those things you have been charged to do, or you have charged yourself to do, with clarity. With clarity. It'll all begin to make some sense, right? It'll all begin to make really, really good sense. I promise. All right. So today, I want you guys, and this is a little bit shorter show today, just because I've got some client stuff I want to make sure I do as well. And we're working on some other stuff. Jerry and I are working on some major stuff for you. Today, I want you guys to really, really think about, how can I broaden my focus? How can I use my focus as a camera with a blurred background as opposed to that laser focus? And how can I move the spotlight around that enables me to get that stuff that I've maybe blocked out but might need to inform what I'm doing right now? And how do I not beat myself up for a quote unquote lack of focus, but rather be curious about why I feel I lost focus and understand or gain an understanding of whether that was actually additional information that I needed, that I was able to gather. Or maybe it was just that I needed a break. So as you go through this week into next week, and you continue to work on really getting clear, really staying aligned with who you are and where you are and what you want and what it's going to take and what you're willing to do to get it, work on your focus. Not necessarily getting more focused, but broadening your focus. It almost sounds like an oxymoron, right? Broaden your focus. Think about it like a camera as opposed to a laser. Think about it as opportunity to see more and gather more information. And I would love, 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 love to understand how you manage your focus and keep yourself from being so myopic that you, as they say, you don't see the forest for the trees, right? Have a fantastic, fantastic rest of your week. Thank you for tuning in. I'm always so excited to be here with you guys. We will be here again next week. Remember, laurelrutledge.com. Go to this triangle with vision on it and sign up for the free masterclass next week, Tuesday. Yeah, next week, Tuesday. Good grief, it'll be February already. Tuesday, February the 2nd, 2022. I'm really excited about it. It's going to be just 90 minutes and we'll have a chance to talk and chat and get you clear.
Let's give a shout out to a couple of your Facebook listeners this morning. We Janae L. Roberts is tuned in. Denise Washington is tuned in. Cynthia J. Hickman, thank you for letting the people
Good morning,
know.
Dr. Cynthia.
Denise Washington. We've got, let's see. Hold on. Annette from New York.
Good morning to you. Good morning, New York.
Michelle Johnson is tuned in on this morning. Hold on. And I saw Chastity on here as well. And they say, good show. They love you too as well.
Thank you. I love you guys. And Kendall, I see you on here. And Tisa, I see you on here. Y'all, this is just, I just love it. I love all of you guys. I love doing that. My mom just made my day this morning. She's like, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you for being out there and doing that. And that just filled my heart this morning. So thank y'all for tuning in. It's a terrific Tuesday. Go out and talk about it. Go out and talk about all the amazing things. Good morning, Mama Young. Go out and talk about all the amazing things you're going to be doing today. Go out and broaden your focus. Go out and broaden your perspective. Go out and do some good work. Love you guys. I'll see you next week. Take care. Bye.